Hey guys, welcome to LALoveCreative, and today let's talk about the Canon C70 new firmware that just made this camera so much better. Let's get to it. Now, I am a big fan of the Canon C70. It is my whole reason why I switched from Sony back to Canon, and I am shooting on it right now, and I just love this cinema camera. I know that it's not perfect, but for me, I think it's just, fits the bill for most of the work I do. However, this camera has a lot of things that I really just piss me off. And with the new firmware, didn't fix all the things that pissed me off, but it's a good start and it's a good move in the right direction. Now, their new firmware was just released. You can get it on the Canon website. Now, doing this new update was really easy. All I had to do was format my card on my Canon C70. And then I also would make sure to save all your menu settings on a different card, not on the same card you're gonna format. Save your menu settings on a SD card. That way you can pretty much load your menu settings, because it's going to erase all your menu settings when you do the new update. So make sure that you save all your menu settings on a different memory card, and then that way you can always import your settings later. After you download the firmware from the website, you will put the downloaded firmware onto the memory card and insert it into memory card B on the Canon C70. After you do that, you go to firmware in the settings menu, and you basically just update it from there. It should take about 10 minutes and you are good to go. Now, one thing I love about the new Canon C70 firmware is you get additional autofocus coverage, especially when you're using the 0.71 focal reducer on the Canon C70. Now, I personally think the autofocus on the Canon C70 is good, but it could be better. And I'm glad that Canon is making steps to make the autofocus a little bit better by including more of a 80% coverage on the autofocus range. That'll give you a little bit better autofocus reliability. And so far, messing around with it, I do see a difference, and I really appreciate them actually doing that. Another cool thing about the Canon C70 firmware update is they fixed the auto tracking, the touch tracking. They fixed it. Before, you would have to like push a button and then touch track and then cancel and then push the button again just to be able to touch the track. Now you can actually just touch the screen and it'll lock on focus, just like the Canon R6 or the Canon R5. It doesn't work as great as those cameras, but it's a good step in the right direction. All you have to do is tap the lock on focus, and then if you don't want to focus on something anymore, just push cancel on the camera. And I think that's a right move in the right direction for tap to track, and I can see myself using it more in the future. Another cool thing about the Canon C70, which I found that made larger productions a little bit of a hassle, especially when you are outputting to multiple monitors and stuff like that, is one of the things that the Canon C70 didn't allow you to do before was to output a LUT via HDMI. So that if you were shooting, let's say you're shooting a commercial for a client or something, if you had the HDMI, to a bigger monitor or something like that, it would only output a log image if you're shooting log. Now at least you can output a log image, but it'll have the Rec 709 LUT on it, so that when a client sees the monitor, they can see that it's, color graded, basically the colors in the image, as opposed to them being like, why is it so flat? So I think that's a really good update, because I found myself multiple times shooting this with clients and having to make sure I had a monitor that had LUTs already in the monitor, but then that LUT's not the same LUT as the Canon C70 monitoring LUT. So it's a lot of different, issues with that. And I'm glad Canon put that in there now, so now I don't have to worry about that. Another big update for me, and I know this is not a big deal, but when you put the 0.71 reducer on your camera, there's these like boxes that come up and they like never leave. And the only way you can get rid of it is if you just, mess with the display so there's no information on the display. But then at that point, you're like, I don't see my iris, I don't see anything. So it was really annoying. It wasn't the biggest update, but I'm so glad that they got rid of that, because now I can actually just have my focal reducer on the camera and have a clean image basically with just my settings and stuff like that. Now, there's a lot more in this firmware update, but those are the main things that I found myself really excited for. I'm glad Canon is making the right step in the right direction, because this camera's been out for a while and I've been waiting for an update for a long time, and it's good to see that they're actually not forgetting about it and trying to update the camera and trying to fix some of these issues. If you have any questions about photography or videography, hit me in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Peace.